Hey, what's up guys, this is Chris from VFX, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a Parallax Image Slideshow, which looks something like this. So I'm not going to be showing you step by step exactly everything how I did in the video. I'm just going to show you the basic idea how you can make that parallax slideshow. And yeah, so let's get started. Okay, now let's start by making a new composition. And I'm going to name this main as main composition. And it's about 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, or you can make it however long you want it to be. And click OK. Next we need to import our images here. Okay, so I choose these two images, but they are a bit too big, so I'm gonna press Control and select both of them, press S on my keyboard to see the scale, and I'm gonna scale down this image to something, let's just scale it like that, and then this one so it fits our frame, something like this. Okay, so for now I'm just gonna turn this bottom one off, and we're gonna work with this image or whichever image you have. Then right click, pre-compose, and name it image 01, and click move all attributes into the new composition and click OK. And now again right click, pre-compose, and name this scene 01 and click OK. Now let's open that up, and this is the composition that we're going to be working with. So now I'm going to duplicate this layer, Control D, and I'm going to name it, let's name it glass, because that was the effect or the look that I was kind of going for. I don't know if I succeed at it or whatnot, but that's what I try to achieve. And we will need to apply few effects here. We will need an effect drop shadow, drop that on. Then we will need fast blur, glow, photo filter, and stroke. Okay, and for now I'm gonna turn the layer off, and we're gonna select the mask tool or rectangle tool, and while this layer is selected I'm gonna draw a, let's say, a rectangle mask right here like that, then another mask right here, and now let's turn back on the layer. So that's because I can see the differences in what I'm doing actually here. And now let's change those settings. So drop shadow opacity, let's change that to 32. Distance to 10, and softness to 95. And blur to 5, and repeat edge pixels. And as you can see, it already gives us nice drop shadow there, and there's a bit of blur going on. And you can change these settings, and you can just not apply blur or whatever, or not drop shadows. It's totally up to you. And glow, let's change intensity to 0.2, threshold to 23, and radius to 76. And then change glow colors from original to A and B colors, and then change color A to this and click OK. Now for the photo filter, we're going to use a cooling filter and density to 6. And as the last one stroke, we're going to check this checkbox for all masks. Brush size, we're going to set that to 6, hardness to 23. And as you can see, it creates a stroke around our mask that we just created. And also set opacity to 23 so that it's not as bright as it was. And then spacing to, let's go with 20. Okay, and as you can see here, it created this nice stroke around it. See? And yeah, like I said, you can change these effects. You can apply or not apply, but yeah, these are the settings that I used for this this slideshow here. Okay, we can close the mask. Actually, no, for this one we can close the mask. And also, let's turn off the original image right here so that we don't see anything. And also make sure that you click this to toggle transparency. Okay, and now duplicate this composition, Control D, and press M to delete the previous masks. And what I did, I turned off so I don't see the layer. And now again, rectangle tool, and I'm just gonna draw more masks. I'm gonna draw here, and then another one here. And we can turn that on. Then again, duplicate and pretty much do the same again. And I created about 5 masks, 5 compositions like this. Let's see, let's add one here. Maybe 3 like this. Then another one. Let's add another one here. Or no, let's add another one here. And then turn it on, duplicate, same thing, delete, delete, turn it off. And you don't have to turn it off, I'm just turning it off so I can see the spaces that I have, because what I want to keep this area, this middle area, intact, so there are no masks and that is left as it is. And what else? I'm gonna add, let's add another mask here. Then another one here, and you can add more than 2 masks. As you can see, I'm only adding 2, so duplicate that. This will be my last duplicated layer, and I'm gonna add a mask here. And let's see, where else could I add? Let's add another one. Let's add another one just here. Like that. Okay. Turn it on. Okay, and now let's turn the back image, or the original image that has no effect on it. And now what we need to figure out is which layers I want on top. So pretty much in this kind of order, this is going to be on top. So what I have to do is, at least how I did it, is the layers that are closest to the bottom here, or closest to the original image, will be on top. It will make sense in a bit later, so I'm just gonna rearrange them like that, like so. Okay, I'm gonna turn these ones off, and I'm just gonna work with these 2 layers for now. And also, one thing to do is select all of the layers and make them 3D layers. Okay, now we need to open up the transform panel here, and we will change few settings here. So we're going to change the scale to 125, and that doesn't look good, but we're going to change also the Z space here, position and Z space, and I'm going to hold shift so it moves a bit quicker, and I'm going to change it to 665 because that's the original amount I used. And now it looks exactly perfect. And you might ask, why did I do that? Well, I did it because later on when we apply the camera, it will give that sort of 3D look that all of these layers are on top of another, and it'll basically look better than just being stacked above each other. It doesn't have that kind of cool effect. So anyways, let's move to the second layer that we have here, which is glass 5 for me. And I'm gonna set the scale to 102 and Z space to 50. And for your image, it probably will be a bit different, but these are the two things you have to change pretty much. So let's just see. Yes, it matches pretty good, but let's say it was like this. So all I did, I could have increased the scale to match it, or I simply reduced the Z space like so, like it was back to 50. So that's pretty much there is. Now let's turn on the next one, which is glass 4. Again, settings, and go into transform. And I'm going to change the scale to 111 and Z space to 311. So as you can see here, it doesn't really match up. So I'm just going to slightly decrease the Z space just a tiny bit like that. So it's now 300 instead of 311. And it doesn't have to be pixel perfect just to, because when, like, to the naked eye, you can't really tell during the animation that it is a bit off. But if it's like really off, something like this, then yeah, obviously you can see that there's something going off. But if I set it back to 311, you can't really tell that it is that much off. It is tiny bit off, but it's not by much. So I'm going to set it back to 300 as it was. Now the next layer, our composition, again, transform. And I'm going to set the Z space to 273. And as you can see, it doesn't match, so I have to increase the scale. So let's see, 112. Okay, maybe a bit more. 110. That matched, so that's good. And again, the next one, and so on and so on. And the Z space for this will be 267. And then the scale, let's see, 110. I think that matches. That looks good. And now the last one, let's turn it on. These are the big ones, so I'm gonna set that to, so they are behind most of the layers that we have here, something like this. I want them to be there. Now we simply increase the scale so they match the position, like so. Okay, maybe not. 112. Yeah, 112 matches, so that's good. So this is exactly how I wanted it to look. All right, and we can close these one down. Okay, and now we need to create a new camera to animate this. And now there are two options how you can animate this slideshow. Option number 1 is by using the camera tools. See, move it around. It works, but I didn't do it this way. I used a new null object for rotation and another null object for position of the camera. So I'm just gonna name it cam position, and this one will be cam rotation. Okay, and I'm gonna do it like this because that's how I did it in the original one, and also make sure that those null objects are a 3D layers. Okay, we will need a few effects. Actually, we will need only one effect, which is called slider control. We're going to drag that into cam position null object, and we're going to duplicate it 3 times. So 1, 2. Actually, 2 times. So this is going to be Y, this is going to be X, and this is going to be Z. And those are X, Y, and Z positions that we will be using. And for X, we're going to set that to 960, for Y to 540, and Z we're going to leave it at 0. So that is the default centered position for the layers. If you press P, you can see 960, 540, and this one has 309 in Z space because we changed that. But for this one, P is 960, 540, and 0 in Z, and that's exactly what we have here. Alright, and now let's open up transform settings for cam rotation layer, and we're gonna alt click on the cam position, on the position stopwatch here. So alt click, and we're gonna type an expression that will take the values for X, Y, and Z from the sliders in cam position layer. So we're gonna take X, Y, and Z values and put them inside here, X, Y, and Z. So let's write the expression. So brackets or square brackets, I'm not entirely sure how they're called, this comp dot layer. Now we choose the layer from which we want to take the effect, so it's called cam position, close, and then dot effect, and then the effect that we want to take, and that's called X, and close that. Then the value, the thing that we want to use, which is slider, and then comma, and pretty much the same thing as we have here. So just copy that, copy paste it, and instead of X we're gonna put Y, again comma, paste, instead of X we're gonna put Z, and then we're gonna simply close this down. And now you can see it took those values. Let's see if we change. You can see it changes the values here, so that works perfectly. Alright, for now we can close that down, and we're gonna be working with X and Y sliders. Okay, and I want this animation to be around about 11 seconds something long. So I'm gonna, like in the original, I'm gonna set a middle point when the image should be in center, everything looking perfect, at 5 seconds and 5th frame mark. So here I'm gonna set this keyframe for X slider, and then let's move to the start, or the beginning of the composition, and I'm also gonna change set a keyframe for Z slider. So at this point you simply decide from which way the animation we need to do. Another thing, we need to set a parent to cam rotation, like so. So at this point you need to figure out from which direction the animation is going to come into. I'm going to set it to come in from this position, so I'm going to set it to, I'm going to set it actually further than that. I'm going to set it to 3000, like that, and I'm also going to change this in Z space to, like, I don't know, something like this. Okay, now press U on our keyboard to see the keyframes. Now let's go to 11 second, somewhere, let's go a bit back. So let's say exactly here, and we want this animation or the slideshow to go the opposite way, so in this direction. And also just a few frames back, let's say somewhere here, we're gonna set the Z space to something like this, or Z slider. Okay, and also now we're gonna go into cam rotation, and we're gonna change the rotation we'll use here. So we're gonna adjust the Y rotation. We're gonna set a keyframe and set it to 11. So as you can see, it turned. Now we're gonna go to the middle here, and obviously we don't want it to look like that, so we're gonna set it to 0, and then go to the end of the comp, let's say here, and we're gonna set that to -11, so it goes the opposite way. See here it's plus and then it's the minus. Okay, so that looks good. And there are a few things that we still need to change. And the number one thing that I want to change is that, as you can see, I want to only see something like this, that I see these layers that we created, the masks only with these edges and everything. But if I turn on the back image, you can see that sort of ruins everything. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the middle. So let's say it's somewhere here. And I'm gonna make a new adjustment layer. Move it above the original image that has no effects and it isn't called glass. And let's call it mask. And let's search for an effect called transform. Add that. And we also, let's see the scale 125. So we want to match something like that. And also make sure it's a 3D layer. So let's set it to 130 or 140. So it's bigger than the image. Okay. And now what we simply do is we take a mask or rectangle tool and we're going to draw this area that we want to keep. So that's the only area I want to keep. And now what I do is I go to opacity here in transform effect and I set it to 0. Okay, and that doesn't look right. And what we do simply is we click inverted. And now it works perfectly. So as you can see here, okay, maybe we need to increase the scale. As you can see, it pops up here. So let's just increase the scale even more, like that. That should do it. So now as you can see on these sides, we only see the cuts that we made, the edges, the masks. Yeah, here something went wrong, but we can adjust that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the mask, just make it a bit wider like that. Now let's see, is there still that error? No, there is not. Everything looks good. Okay, so that's that for this. And then there's another thing that we need to adjust. I'm gonna make this solo this layer, and the thing, let's see, let's turn off the transparency. No, for this layer everything's okay. Let's go to this one. Let's see, does this have, yes, this has that thing that we need to fix. As you can see here, the stroke is going beyond the image limits, so we need to fix that, and it's pretty easy fix. You simply take this mask and move it to the image boundaries that you can see. Okay, and you do that for all of the compositions that you have here. You simply check if there is errors with that, and this seems like it's okay, so we don't have to worry about it. Let's go to the next one. Let's see, does this has, yes, this has again that error. Again, easy fix. Select the edges, move it to here. Just one thing, make sure you don't drag in like this. As you can see, it cuts off the image, so just make it stick to the edges like so. Let's see if the other, yeah, the other one has the same effect. All right, so I'm gonna be back when I fix the issue. Okay, so I fixed the issue here and they all look great now. Okay, so one thing that I want to check is what will happen if I put a different image inside here. So I'm gonna take this image and replace it with this one. So let's see, does it look the same? Yeah, it looks good, looks the same, so no need to worry. Okay, so I'm gonna delete that and leave it like this. Now let's go back to main and we can move this here and we can start working with our other one. And the process is the same, so the same as we did with this scene. You make the map, you put the image, you pre-compose the image, then pre-compose that into a scene, then you apply all those effects, duplicate the image, make them look like glass and whatnot, make those masks, pretty much the same thing except for the camera positions. The camera rotations, that's a bit different here. So I'm gonna be back when I'm done with that, and I will continue to the camera position part. So yeah. Okay, so I've made the second scene, as you can see here. Yeah, there are these black spaces, but I'm just gonna ignore them. And there's also black spaces on the bottom that I didn't check, but yes, that's fine totally. And so next thing that we need to work here on is the animation. As you know, the previous let's turn this off and turn this off. This scene, scene number 1, when the animation ends, it goes to the left. So we need the scene 2 to come in from the left, same as the previous one. So this animation is good. And now from this part, what we can do is we can animate the exit differently. So what I mean by that is we can now, we can now set the the Y slider, let's say move it upwards like so. So that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna move it up. Set that, move to the middle, and set it to 0. Now if we check, no, not 0, 540, yes. And now if we check, it's going up, but we need also to change the rotation for this, because it's not rotating in Y anymore. It's gonna be rotating different. It's going to be rotating in X. So we're going to set X, move here, turn this one off. For Y rotation, we don't need that keyframe anymore. And we're going to rotate it to 11, like so. So now we can see that we need to move the layer just a tiny bit more up, like that. So now as you can see, it goes good, and we need to increase the scale of our mask, like that. Let's see, does it come up any? And yes, it does a bit here, so just a bit more. Okay, so that looks good. Yes, there is the issue with the stroke, but I'm not gonna fix it because I'm a bit too lazy. And yeah, so the basic idea is here. Now let's go back to main. And let's just move this out of the way, and let's see. So this comes in right now, then it goes out, and we want it to, the scene number 2 to follow up as soon as that one exits. So something like this. Let's see, how does it look? Something like this. Okay, so let's see, that goes up and it exits there. So till here. Okay, let's see how it looks all together right now. Okay, that looks good, and that doesn't look that good. Yeah, there is issue a bit, because the issue is that this doesn't stop. See, it just keeps on going, so we need to fix that. So let's go into position and rotation, and we need to set these keyframes as easy ease. So right click keyframe assistant, easy ease, or F9, and the same for the rotation. So now as you can see, it comes in, stops here a bit, and then moves forward. So let's do the same here. Select these, easy ease. And for the rotation, also easy ease. And now let's check how it looks. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. You see, it stops there and then continues, but this scene number 2 comes on a bit too quick, so we'll need to adjust that. Okay, yeah, this looks better. So now let's preview it. Okay, so it comes together, stops, moves forward. Then the next one comes and moves forward. So yeah, I like the second scene a lot better than the first, because you can see a lot more of the masks that is here. As you can see, a lot more going on the screen, and comes together a lot nicer. So there is a bit to play around, but it's not that difficult to get right and look perfect. So pretty much that's it for this tutorial, because the technique just is the same for everything, except at the end you simply change the camera rotation and camera position, and that's all there is. And that's also the reason why I like to work with null objects for the camera, because it's a lot easier to adjust the position. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure you hit that like button, please make sure you subscribe, tell your friends, share, comment down below if you have any questions, and also if you want to, you can contact me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, email, and I will give you the download link for this template. So yes, thank you for watching, and once again, please subscribe, like, share, and I will see you in my next video.